Hi everyone, welcome back. Today I'm super excited to introduce you to Openness in TIA. In this video, we will write a simple application in C# to import and export blocks to and from TIA with the help of TIA Openness Public API. Let's get started. Kindly subscribe if you've not done that already, and also press on the notification bell. This way you always be notified whenever I upload new videos. TIA Openness is an application programming interface API that allows for the automation of engineering tasks within the Siemens TIA Portal. It enables developers to create external applications or add-ins that interact with the TIA Portal to perform tasks like data exchange, project planning, configuration, and hardware parameterization. Openness is free, included with the TIA Portal, and uses the .NET framework to provide object-oriented access to engineering data and functions. The good news is TIA Openness is well documented, as you can see from this section. And if I want to say, look at how to import blocks, I can go to the import and I click on blocks. And when I scroll down, I can have the export. You can see it's well documented. And then at the bottom, you can see that there are sample code that you can work with. If I want the import of the blocks, and then you can see the sample code as well. To follow up with this demo program, you will need the following: TIA Portal version 16 or higher. Visual Studio, I have Visual Studio 2022 installed. And then a little knowledge in C# programming. If you don't have, don't worry, I will share this code on my GitHub page. By default, Openness is already installed when you install TIA version 16 and above, but it's not same when you install 13 and below. You need to manually install Openness separately. Now we need to assign the Openness our user group. You go to the computer management and then click on the local user and then groups, and then we need to scroll down to Siemens TIA Openness, and then we can see I've already added a member. But to do this, you can type the name here and then click on this to verify and then click OK. In my case, I've already done that, so I'll close this section, and then you can see the name will appear here, and then you click OK. Now the next thing you need to do is to log out from this user and then log back in for the changes to be effective. Now let's start Visual Studio to develop our application. I click on the create new project, and then you need to create a console application in C# with .NET framework. I click on the next and then give the project a name. You leave everything the same, and then you need to choose the latest .NET framework. In my case, it's 4.8. I click on create to start creating the project. Okay, the project is created. We can see we have the libraries, parts of them added. We have the namespace, which is the Openness import export, and then we have the main function. Now we need to add the Openness API. We need to look at the location where it is. I go to the C drive and then look for program files and look for Siemens, look for automation, and then look for the public API 19, public API here, and then I select v19, and then we can see the API located at this section. Okay, I copy this path and then minimize this section, and then go to reference, right click, and then say add reference. And you can see, in my case, I've already added it. You can see it from here, but you can do that by clicking on the browse, and now you paste the path where you have it, and you should see these two files. And when I go back, you see it's in the V19. You can see these two files here. You need to select them, and then you click on the add. In my case, I've already done that. They are here, but then I need to select it now to add it to this new project. So I select them and click on OK. And from here, you can see that these two files are added. Great. We can now start writing our program. Okay, in this section, I'll delete this internal, so I only have class program. Now let's write some code to automatically start TIA and then open a project and connect to that particular project. To do this, I say public static and then PLC software, and then the function name, which is find PLC software, with some arguments. Projects, which is equal to project. Okay, great. Bring this section down and then add a bit of code. So for each, I loop through all the devices in this PLC software. So for each device, in projects, device, and then I create another for loop, which is a nested for, and then loop through the items in this device. So device item, and then in device dot device item. Okay, and then I say var software send container equals to device item dot get service, then software container, and then terminate it, and then add an if statement. The software container, we need to identify if this software container is not empty. So it's PLC software. Then we do something. We return this particular PLC software read. With the first for loop, it will return now. Let me correct this typo as this section and then this section as well. Okay, great. We can see that these libraries are added automatically because resharper is activated. If it does not happen in your case, you need to add them manually. Great. And now move to this section, the main, and then add some variables to hold where my project is stored, and then also to hold where I need to import and then export the files. Great. So I say using var TIA Portal, and then I create an instance, new TIA Portal, and then mode, and we need to start TIA Portal with user interface, so I'll use with user interface. If you don't want to start it with user interface, you can use without user interface. So var project TIA Portal .project .open, and then I need to give it a path, so new file info, and then the project path. then PLC software equals to PLC software equals to find PLC software in project. Let me correct this section. Okay, great. Then if PLC software equals now, then we need to write an information to the console that we couldn't find the PLC software, and then we return. Great. This is all what we need to start PLC and connect and open a new project. So I build it and then look for the path to where my project is stored. So I copy the path and then hard code it at the section, and then I need to copy the project name. Make sure you copy with the .p ap19 in my case, and then add it with a backslash to the path, and then I need to copy the path of where I need to store the import and export blocks. I'll use the temp, so I copy the path and then hard code it as well to this variable, and I'll click on rebuild, and we can see there are no errors, everything is fine. And I'll click on start, and we can see it has started successfully and it has been able to start TIA Portal automatically. Okay, TIA Portal is started. We've not added any whitewash to our list, so we will still have this interface. You need to click yes to all, and now we can see it's opening the project. Project is open now. Great, and we have the console interface. Great, now let's create some functions. So I paste this section, which is my export function created. Now let's add the import function too as well. So I paste that one at this section too. Okay, great. So we have this function also created, which you can see most of this function from the TIA Portal Openness API documentation. Okay, I click on the rebuild, and we can see that it has built successfully without any errors. So now let's make use of these two functions that we've added. So we move to the main section, and then I move this section down and then write some bit of code. So we need to ask the user to make an option or to choose from an option. So we say console.write, and then we say option 1 export specific block, and then we add option 2 import all .xml blocks from folder, and then we add a string, and then we say choice, so we can read the choice with console.read, and then we add a condition. If choice equals 1, then we need to execute choice 1 logic. So we say console.write, and then you enter block name to export from folder. Then we add a string with an input to receive this input from the user. Now we say val block name equals input dot split, and remember the block name will be separated, will be comma separated, so we need to split and also select and be able to decode this comma separated value here. So we say trim, and then where x equals or greater than and then we add the string dot is now empty, and then x, and then we convert it to list. Then we say export. So we use the function export selector block, and then we add the argument PLC software, comma, and then we add the block name that we grab from the top, and then also we pass on the folder where we want to do the import and export. Great. Now we add an else if statement that when the choice is 2, we need to do something else. Okay. And then we say if imports export folder, and then we pass the argument to this, the input, the blocks of PLC software, and then import export folder path we pass to it, and then we add the final else statement, the console, the right line, invalid option, so that we'll be able to detect whether the user has entered an invalid number. Okay, we can see that the PLC software is still underlined. This code is located at the wrong place, so I cut, and then I move to this section. It has to be within the main section. I paste it, and we can see that our error is gone. Everything is fine. Now I click on this and then rebuild. Okay, now I move to my TIA Portal and now save. We can see I have two pump 1, pump 2 that I would like to export. So I close it now, because your app needs to open the TIA Portal automatically to execute the import and export function. Okay, so I start again for it to automatically open TIA Portal. I click on yes to all, and then I move to this section. It's asking me which option to choose now, so I choose option 1 to do the export, and then it's asking me the name of the block to export, and then we can see it's pump underscore 1, and I bring a comma and then add the next, which is pump underscore 2. If I click on the enter, we can see that the export has been done successfully, and this is the feedback. And if we move into the temp folder, we can see the export files already there. Now I click on any key, now let's test the import function. So I go to the project view in TIA, open the PLC, and then go to the block, and then delete these 2 blocks that I just exported to the temp folder, so that I can re-import them to see how the import function works. So I compile, save, and then after close TIA Portal. Okay, great. And I'll start the application again. It will then automatically restart TIA Portal. We can see it started. I go to the project view and then go to the blocks, and then we can see that our pump 1, pump 2 blocks are not here. So we need to import them to see how this import function works. So in my option from the console, I select 2, and then enter. And then you can see that the import has started, and then we can see the progress showing everything imported, and then we can see the two files appearing. Great. And we can see the feedback from the app. I can now close this console application, and now let's check the logic in this block, whether they are still the same. We can see that everything is intact, working perfectly. There's a lot of applications that you can develop from this particular Openness API. Kindly try your hands on any of it and then share with us. Thank you all for watching. See you in the next tutorial. Bye bye.